Standing today with an ash tree. And next is a hawthorn tree. And these are two really sacred trees. And they're part of what's known as a sacred triad called oak, ash and thorn. And you've probably heard of that, the oak, ash, thorn. There's lots of poetry and people talking about fairy elements to do with trees and sacred magical elements to do with trees when they're found together. So every tree has its own healing property, and every tree has something it connects with inside us to bring up either an emotion or something that's making us feel like a healing element. So the hawthorn we know is really sacred. It's the holy thorn, and you'll find a holy thorn at Glastonbury. Supposedly planted because Joseph of Arimathea put his staff in the ground and it came into a hawthorn tree, and hawthorn is really pronounced then at Glastonbury. But it's also it's known to be a tree planted by sacred wells, sacred springs, connects you to the fairy kingdoms, and it's said to be very protected. So it's bad luck to cut any part of the hawthorn tree. And you can see this one is really kind of craggy and old, full of moss, thorns. You can see my finger there pointing to a thorn. Not a thorn is the black thorn, but there's lots of legends and myths surrounding the two of them. This one supposedly was that if you fell asleep underneath a hawthorn tree, that you would get taken away by the fairies. I quite like that thought, but I've fallen asleep underneath a hawthorn tree a lot and I'm still kind of here. Maybe it's more that you go into a dreaming world, which is not so much heavy thinking. It's more about being in a place where you're letting things flow. The ash tree next to us here is a tree of balance, and you can see up here, it's lovely. There's another ash tree actually behind me there. It's quite a little sacred tree grove here. There's a hazel and holly, and there's some lovely gorse over there. So these trees hold a lot of significance. It's a very sacred tree, the ash tree. It saddened me that so many ash trees have been cut down because of this supposed ash blight. I'm not going to talk about that now, but the ash tree was seen to be Yggdrasil, the tree of life, the tree that Odin hung himself from to gain enlightenment. The tree of life is seen as the axis mundi, roots in the ground, branches heading up towards the cosmos, and the central pillar. Anything could be an axis mundi. We could be an axis mundi. But the ash is often seen as the tree of life. It's a very sturdy, strong wood, very protective. The Vikings would carry ash on their sea journeys for protection, carry staffs or amulets. And it's said that you put an ash next to your bed, a stick of ash, and it gives you protection. It's a tree of balance and oneness, so it's the polar opposites coming as one. So solar, lunar, male, female, day and night. We can't have one without the other, so the ash reminds us of that. These are you can see down here, these trees are growing up together. They've come up very craggy. The wood of the hawthorn is very craggy. It doesn't grow very big. It's one of our smaller trees. Incredibly powerfully healing in terms of the heart and the emotional heart. So you can work with the berries and you can make tinctures, and they're really good for your blood circulation, and they're really good for just helping oxygen blood get to the heart better, help balance out if you've had heart surgery. Really good for you, non-toxic and really safe. There's loads of studies on hawthorn. If you want to use hawthorn to help you increase the circulation, the strength of your heart and the strength of your emotional heart as well. So this is a tree which is all about coming back into unconditional love and being more loving rather than more literal. Like the fairy stories, they require your imagination, and imagination is really important in the world. Otherwise it'd be really boring, wouldn't it? Creativity, imagination, fun, having fun. And I have lots of fun when I'm out here in nature because it's just incredibly fun all the time, and nature makes you play like a child. So this tree is about balance. Crows really like ash trees, which is funny because crows are associated with Odin, the Norse, the Norse god. And it's really interesting. When I've been with ash trees quite a lot, crows turn up. This is quite a young ash tree. It's beautiful, a bit like the oak. That sacred triad I was talking about, the oak, ash and thorn, is really interesting as well. The oak is a powerful tree, really strong rooted, male force, of energy, very protective, nurtures lots of other species. But if ever you work with these trees and you're working with the energies of different trees, it may be, for example, that you want to go into that dreaming world with the hawthorn tree, but you want a sense of protection when you're doing it with the oak tree, and you want a sense of balance. So you might work with different trees for different reasons, for different healing within yourself, or just for peace and calm, just coming out here and discovering about them. All the trees around us, the holly, the hazel, everything that's around us has its own mythology and folklore. They're there for a reason. because our ancestors worked with these trees really strongly and they understood what was coming up. And if you go into deep meditation or healing work with different trees, you'll see that what our different ancestors around the world came up with, without even knowing each other, maybe people did travel and they passed on information, but they mostly came up with the same thing. I thought that's really interesting. Tree of balance, tree of oneness, tree of fairy connections, holly, tree of transformation, of coming back to the source of love, hazel, tree of wisdom, oak, tree of strength and giving you confidence back. They've all got their messages, and I think in the day and age we live in, actually connecting to some of our stories of the past and connecting to nature and feeling ourselves an intrinsic part of nature brings us back to our roots, of our human roots upon the earth. And what we're doing here, our own stories we're telling, as we leave our marks upon our path along the way. I think that's beautiful, and it's really easy to get sucked into what's going on in social media, and that becomes your world, and then you come out here and you realise that it isn't really. It is part of it. It's part of where we are, but this is something that's longer lasting, and it speaks more to me as an organic, living being in connection. And I always seem to find like truth and peace. So I hope you enjoyed watching today, and I wish you a really lovely day. I'm going to have a little walk up there now because the sun's going to be setting very soon. I'll show you my view. There's the sun. I can hear the birds. It's beautiful. There's a dog barking. So I'll speak to you again soon. Thanks very much. Do you leave any comments you'd like to leave? I always love hearing your comments. Take care. See you again soon. Bye.